So hi, my name is Jennifer Dixon from Palmer Elementary School, and today we present to you Reading Workshop with a Twist, a new model to support English language learners. So when we looked at our student achievement data, as well as some surveys that we had collected, about 300 of them, we saw that we may have an opportunity to work on a design to ensure that our ELs can be confident in reading, especially so that they could live out their lives' ambitions. So our theory of change was that if we taught our students encoding and decoding skills, which we found were their biggest areas of kind of self-identified struggle, along with comprehension skills. They specifically cited having a really hard time with text evidence, that they would be able to read text at grade level complexity. And here we have some of our students. We analyzed our STAR 360 data. We poured through 300 surveys of all of our students in 3rd through 8th grade. But we did notice that our EL students, only 9% of them were reading at the 50th percentile or higher post-pandemic. And when we asked them in empathy interviews, we did have 14 empathy interviews, they said that reading words, so the word level, was really hard for them. And it was reading and writing words and working with text evidence. And they really, really wanted to spend more time doing independent reading. And they wanted to spend more time working with their students, their teachers in small group, as well as collaborating with other peers, which is something that they were used to doing in the primary grades that kind of tapers off. We see that a lot of times as students progress through older grades. So we thought, how might we take this opportunity to really listen to student voice, the voices of our students learning English as a second language, to design a reading program that would allow them to make gains in encoding, decoding, as well as those necessary background knowledge and vocabulary items that we know they need so that they can be strong readers who are set up for future success. And with that, we designed our new twist on a reading workshop. There are 3 main components. It's the EL's desire to comprehend. In that area, we're going to take some understanding by design units that we already have, especially in 5th to 8th grade, which is our focus group, and add more explicit teaching of encoding and decoding skills, something that traditionally we didn't focus on having so much in those upper grade literacy units. So we're going to revitalize some curriculum to also include more differentiated opportunity within those units for small groups and student choice, which was something they wanted. The next model or element of the model is the EL's desire for choice. And so within this framework that we've designed, students in the middle school will have more time to read self-selected texts from our classroom libraries, as well as more time with the teacher in small group. Again, this is something pre-pandemic, these middle school, these older readers were really familiar with. The last time they were in person, they were working so much with their teacher in small group because they were in 3rd and 4th and 2nd grade. And so it tapered off, but they really, really want it back. The 3rd element is our English language learners' desire to, again, work with their peers, but to read with comprehension, specifically when asked to give text evidence. We know that reading comprehension improves when students have increased background knowledge and vocabulary. And self-organized learning environments developed by Sugata Mitra at the University of Newcastle and based off of his TED Talk are a great way for students to work in small groups that are self-selected, to explore big questions, to do research, and to build the vocabulary and background knowledge that our ELs need. And so in total, this is a new model for a reading workshop that we're proposing. while we do have these different metrics of success really specified out in our mural board, we wanted to call out in this particular pitch our final culture and climate goal. And that goal that once our prototype is fully implemented and adopted by all the 5th through 8th grade teachers of ELs, that our students will report increased feelings of joy around reading. In our empathy work, we found that there was a lot of anxiety and stress coming from our ELs, and they were having such a hard time simply getting past reading words, that comprehension felt like this huge hill to climb, and they didn't really like a lot of the books they were reading either. And we think that although we have here these kind of structured goals for rollouts, like when the adopters are going to be doing their rollout, when students will be able to articulate the elements of their reading workshop classrooms, and the point at which all students are experiencing the prototype, as well as the gains that we hope to see moving from an overall 35% of kids in that grade, those grade bands, to being on grade level to 50, which is still significantly below where we were pre-pandemic, which was 75%. So that was a rocky hill to climb, and we're going to slowly get right back up there. As a part of our work, we used...
Got to interrupt. That's been your time for, that's 6 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. 6 minutes. Wow. Everyone can enjoy. We do have a video in the mural board if you would like to watch. Thank you so much.
We have 3 minutes for questions.
Well, I'll begin. Thank you, Jennifer, for your presentation.
Thank you.
I think I heard you say that one of your metrics would be, or ways of measuring would be, that students will report increased joy with learning. How do you plan to measure that increase in joy?
So throughout this process, the design thinking process, we've come to really enjoy these empathy interviews. And we can simply ask students, how happy are you in your reading classes? How much do you enjoy the books you're reading? And kind of measure that in more of a qualitative sense.
Thank you, Principal Dixon, for that response to Dr. Sanders. Similar, you had both for teacher measures, qualitative and quantitative measures of joy in teaching, right? So what does a question like that look like, or how do you measure that in teachers?
Yeah. I mean, I think that through conversations and lots of anecdotal evidence, we spend a lot of time at Palmer in teacher teams. And having worked at this school for quite some time now, we all have this kind of relationship, me and the staff and everyone working together, where we have a lot of conversations about how we're feeling right now. To be perfectly honest, it is the hardest time we have ever had. And maintaining this big sense of optimism has been so hard. There's definitely room to grow, I think, in terms of this optimism. A break is going to help. But I think it can be measured the same way that it's being measured with the students. I spend a lot of time as principal doing individual check-ins with teachers. And so I'll be asking, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Is there anything that we can do to make, the experience of teaching in this literacy model more joyful? Because I really think that's what we need right now. It's going to be that kind of mental release that kids need too.
Thank you, Principal Dixon. I was really impressed to hear that you all analyzed 300 surveys and did 14 empathy interviews. That's a lot. I'm curious, apart from sort of the high level learnings that you took, were there any sort of specific small groups of students that you said had additional, perspectives, or within those 300, if you saw any kind of differentiation and tiering?
So boys, if we wanted to drill it down even further, boys were not liking reading. So male students did not like the books that their teachers were choosing. We decided to focus on our ELs because overall their performance, their STAR 360 data, was significantly lower than our male students. But we know that if we plan with the margins in mind, which is a principle of universal design, that that kind of work really benefits everyone. And so we're looking forward to kind of reinventing this idea of a reading workshop to include more student choice and bringing up some of those practices from the primary grades into the upper grades, where it was like the last place that those kids left and they went home and they didn't get to go back to. They actually said in the survey, we want to do more things like laying on bean bags in 8th grade to read, like they did it before they left for pandemic. Sorry, Tara.
That's okay.